Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky entered what he referred to as the disinformation space surrounding U.S. President Donald Trump, and it could have serious consequences for Ukraine. Unwilling to remain silent while Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance showed a neutral attitude towards Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Zelensky disregarded the conventional world leader playbook for handling Trump, flattery and deference, and fought back. This was in sharp contrast to the meetings Trump held with two other world leaders earlier that week. French President Emmanuel Macron and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer both tried to encourage Trump to engage with Zelensky. Macron reminded Trump of his visit to Notre Dame, while Starmer personally delivered a letter from King Charles to Trump. Zelensky was at the White House to sign an agreement with the U.S. regarding rare earth minerals, which Trump wants access to in exchange for continued military aid. However, Zelensky clearly could not accept a revisionist history where Putin wasn't seen as the villain. Trump, meanwhile, accused Zelensky of gambling with World War III. The resulting shouting match in the Oval Office, conducted in front of reporters, became an unprecedented spectacle on TV cameras at the White House. Trump later kicked Zelensky out of the White House and issued a statement on social media. President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations, Trump wrote. I don't want advantage, I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace. Americans aren't accustomed to seeing Trump visibly upset, especially not towards the leader of a democracy the U.S. is supporting with military aid. Vance also weighed in, sparking the argument when he said the U.S. condemning Putin during the Biden administration had only led to years of war. The path to peace and prosperity might be engaging in diplomacy, said Vance, defending Trump's apparent trust in Putin. We tried Joe Biden's path of thumping our chest, Vance added. Zelensky countered that Putin had broken agreements before, such as the one reached in 2019 when Trump was in office. Zelensky didn't mention it, but that agreement came at a time when Trump was preparing for his first impeachment trial for withholding aid to Ukraine and pressuring Ukrainians to launch an investigation into Biden. Both Vance and Trump accused Zelensky of not being grateful enough for the aid the U.S. had provided to Ukraine, and they also criticized Biden. Zelensky said he worked with Biden because he was the U.S. president, as chosen by the voters. While Zelensky did try to express more gratitude during the Oval Office appearance, Trump berated him, saying the war would have been over in 2 weeks without American military aid. Trump also inflated the amount of U.S. aid to Ukraine, stating it was $350 billion, when in fact it was less than $200 billion. That's when Zelensky cut Trump off, all but accusing him of using Putin's talking point that the war would have been over in 3 days without U.S. support for Ukraine. Trump clearly harbors animosity towards Zelensky and feels a kinship with Putin. Putin went through a hell of a lot with me, Trump said. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. This was a reference to the U.S. intelligence community's assessment that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help Trump's campaign. A subsequent special counsel investigation found multiple contacts between Trump's campaign and Russians but did not uncover sufficient evidence to prove collusion. The investigation overshadowed much of Trump's first term. Now back in office, Trump does not view Putin as an enemy. Donald Trump has switched sides in the war, and I think that is the context for the confrontation we just saw, said Susan Glasser, a journalist who wrote a book about Putin's rise in Russia. In Russia, officials were borrowing Trump's talking points to praise the U.S. president for lecturing Zelensky. The insolent pig finally got a proper slapdown in the Oval Office, and it real Donald Trump is right. The Kyiv regime is gambling with World War III, said Dmitry Medvedev, a top official in Putin's government, in a post on X. Zelensky, on the other hand, took to X to thank the U.S. and Trump for their support as if the confrontation had never happened. Thank you, America, thank you for your support, thank you for this visit. Thank you at POTUS, Congress, and the American people. Ukraine needs just and lasting peace, and we are working exactly for that. But the damage may be irreversible. Even Ukraine's supporters in the GOP, such as Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, were questioning whether Zelensky can still be a partner. "I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelensky again," Graham said outside the White House on Friday.